You'd never think this frock was made for me. I said to Scott, whose wardrobe, she must be my double. He said, no, you're hers, the stupid cow. Talk about last minute, though. 11 o'clock on Tuesday night, I'm just wondering about having a run around with the dusthead. 6 o'clock next morning, I'm sitting in Leon Solent in makeup. When the phone went telling me I'd got the part, I assumed it was Simon, so I said, hello, Simon. He said, try Nigel. I said, well, Nigel, can you tell Simon I've not let the grass grow under my feet? And I'll play a rudimentary game of chess. He said, I don't care if you play a championship game of ice hockey. Just don't get pregnant. It transpires the girl slated to do the part was living with a racing driver. Of course, the inevitable happened. Kiddie on the way. So my name was next out of the hat. I said to Scott, I know why. They knew I had ideas about the part. He said they knew you had a 38-inch bust. His mother's confined to a wheelchair at the moment. He's got a lot on his plate. Anyway, I'm ready. I've been ready since yesterday morning. It was long enough before anybody came near. I had a bacon sandwich which Scott went and fetched for me while I was under the dryer. I said, wasn't there a croissant? He said, in Leon Solent. On Tess, there were croissants. On Tess, there was filtered coffee. And there was some liaison. I just wanted to talk to somebody about the part, but Scott said they were out in the speedboat shooting mute shots of the coastline. On Tess, you were never waiting around. Roman anticipated every eventuality. We filmed in the middle of a forest once, and the toilet arrangements were immaculate. And there was provision for a calorie-controlled diet. I said to Scott, I'm not used to working like this. He said, let's face it, dear. You're not used to working. Why didn't you bring your knitting? I said, I do not knit, Scott. He said, well, file your nails then, pluck an eyebrow, be like me, do something constructive. He's as thin as a rail, and apparently an accomplished pianist. And he seems to be makeup as well as wardrobe. On Tess, we had 3 caravans for makeup alone. Eventually, Simon put his head around the door. I said, hello, Simon. Long time no see. Did Nigel tell you I play chess? He said, chess? Aren't you the one who can water ski? I said, no. He said, bugger, he disappeared. I said to Scott, Simon's a bit young for a director. He said, director? He couldn't direct you to the end of the street. He just does all the running about. I said, who is the director? He said, Gunter. I said, Gunter. That sounds a continental name. He said, yes. German. I said, that's interesting. I went to Germany once. Dusseldorf. He said, well, you'll have a lot to talk about. I'm still sitting there hours later when another young fellow comes in. I said, Gunter. He said, Nigel. I said, we spoke on the phone. He said, yes. I am about to commit suicide. I've just been told you don't water ski. I said, Nigel, I can learn. I picked up the skateboard in 5 minutes. He said, precious. 5 minutes is what we do not have. You don't by any chance have fluent French? I said, no, why? They said they wondered about making her French. I said, Nigel, how can she be French when she's called Travis? Travis isn't a French name. He said, the name isn't important. I said, it is to me. It's all I've got to build on. He said, I'll get back to you. I said, Nigel, I don't have French. But what I do have is a smattering of Spanish. The legacy of several non-package type holidays on the Costa del Sol. Could Travis be half Spanish? He said to Scott, we wanted someone with fluent French who could water ski, and what have we got? Someone with pidgin Spanish who plays chess. Scott said, don't look at me. I started off as a landscape gardener. I'm still waiting to be used in the afternoon, which is when they did the water skiing. A girl from the local sub-aqua did it. She works part-time at the quayside restaurant where they all had supper last night, apparently. I saw her when she came in for makeup. Pleasant enough, but didn't look a bit like me. I'm quite petite, only she was on the large side, and whereas my hair is blonde, hers was definitely ginger. I didn't say anything at the time, but I thought, if she's supposed to be me, they'll be into big continuity problems. So I thought I'd go in quest of the director and tell him. There was nobody about on the yacht. Just a man dusting the camera. He said not to worry. The shot was POV water ski, and we'd only be seeing her elbow. I said, will that work? He said, oh, yes, you know. Cinema. The magic of... Mind you, he said, if it was up to him personally, he'd rather see my elbow than hers any day. His name was Terry. What was mine? I said, it's a relief to find someone civil. He said, it's the same story, Leslie. Art comes in the door and manners go out the window. Why is making a film like being a mushroom? I said, why, Terry? He said, they keep you in the dark, and every now and then someone comes and throws a bucket of shit over you. He laughed. I said, that's interesting, Terry. Only they don't grow mushrooms like that anymore. It's all industrialized. He said, you sound like a cultured person. How's about we spend the evening exploring the delights of Leon Solent? His room's nicer than mine. His bathroom has a hairdryer. Please don't get me wrong. I have no objection to taking my top off. Only Travis, as I was playing her, wasn't the kind of girl who would take her top off. I said to Nigel, I'm a professional, Nigel. Credit me with a little experience. It isn't Travis. I've been sat on the deck of the yacht all day as background, while these two older men had what I presumed was a business discussion. One of them, who was covered in hair and had a real weight problem, was my boyfriend, apparently. You knew he was my boyfriend because at an earlier juncture you'd seen him hit me across the face. Travis was supposed to be a good time girl, though you never actually seen me have a good time. Just sat on this freezing cold deck, plastering on the suntan lotion. I said to Nigel, I don't know whether the cameraman spotted it, Nigel, but would I be sunbathing? There's no sun. He said no sun is favourite. Nigel is first assistant, here, there and everywhere. Gunter never speaks. Not to me, anyway. Just stands behind his camera with his little cap on. Not a patch on Roman. Roman had a smile for everybody. Anyway, I'm sitting there as background, and I say to Nigel, Nigel, am I right in thinking I'm a denizen of the cocktail belt? He said, why? A bit guardedly. I said, because to me, Nigel, that implies a cigarette holder. And I produced quite a small one I'd happened to have brought with me. He goes and speaks to Gunter. Only Gunter rules there's to be no smoking I said, on the grounds of health. He said, no, on the grounds of it making continuity a bugger. I'd also brought a paper bag with me, just to make it easier for props. Which happened to be Scott again. Only I'd hardly got it open when Nigel relieved me of it, said they were going with the suntan lotion. I said, Nigel, I do not think the two are incompatible. I can apply suntan lotion and read at the same time. That is what professionalism means. He checks with Gunter again, and he comes back. Says, forget the book, suntan lotion is favourite. I said, can I ask you something else? He said, go on. I said, what's my boyfriend talking about? He said, business. I said, Nigel, am I right in thinking it's a drugs deal? He said, does it matter? I said, it matters to me. It matters to Travis. It helps my character. He said, what would help your character? As if you took your bikini top off. I said, Nigel, would Travis do that? We know she plays chess. She also reads. Is Travis the type to go topless? He said, listen, who do you think you're playing, Emily Bronte? Gunter wants to see your knockers. I didn't even look at him. I just took my bikini top off without a word and applied suntan lotion with all the contempt I could muster. We did the shot. Nigel said, Gunter liked that. And if I could give him a whisker more sensuality, it might be worth a close-up. So we did it again. Nigel said Gunter liked what I was giving him. And in this next shot, could I take off my bikini bottom? I said, Nigel, trust me, Travis wouldn't do that. He talks to Gunter, comes back. Says Gunter agrees with me. The real Travis wouldn't. But by displaying herself naked before her boyfriend's business associates, she is showing her contempt for his whole way of life. I said, Nigel, at last, Gunter is giving me something I can relate to. He said, right, let's shoot. Elbow the bikini bottom. We wrapped about 6. Best film parlance were packed up. I said to Nigel, did I give Gunter what he wanted? Is he happy? He said, Leslie, Gunter's an artist, he's never happy. But as he said this afternoon, at last, we're cooking with gas. I said, is that good? He said, yes. I said, oh. Because I prefer electricity. When I got back to the hotel, it took me some time to unwind. I'd become so identified with Travis that it wasn't until I'd had a bath and freshened up that I felt her loosening her hold on me. I was looking forward to relaxing with the crew. Swapping anecdotes of the day's shooting in the knowledge of a day's work well done. Only when I got downstairs, nobody was about. Just Scott and one of the drivers. The rest of them, I'd gone off for supper at the restaurant run by the fat girl who did the water skiing. I sat at the bar for a bit. Just one fellow in there. I said, my hobby is people. What do you do? Lo and behold, he's on the film too. Kenny, the animal handler, in charge of the cat. I said, that's interesting, Kenny. I didn't know there was going to be a cat. I love cats. I love dogs. But I love cats. He said, would you like to see her? She's asleep on my bed. I said, that's convenient. He said, Leslie, don't run away with that idea. I am wedded to my small charges. So I go up and I pal on with the cat a bit, and he tells me about all the animals he's handled.